That's interesting. Let's pop over to Revelation 17 and 18. In the idioms and the symbols and the graphs and what have you of Revelation, we encounter a strange thing called Mystery Babylon in chapter 17 and 18. Mystery Babylon is a great harlot. Now, Babylon, the city of Babylon is the source. Something else you should just be aware of is background. The city of Babylon is the origin of most of what we consider in the world. Numbers, accounting, the signs of the zodiac, almost every place you turn. The more you know about Babylon, the more you'll be amazed at how much we confront in our world system. How many minutes in an hour? Anyone? 60. Good for you. Okay. How many seconds in a minute? How many hours in a day? How many days in a year? 360, actually, the original one. The original year before 701 BC. Now, the question is that all came from Babylon. How many degrees in a circle? 360. Babylon, Babylon, Babylon. All that started in Babylon. More importantly, what about things like the Easter Bunny? The goddess of Babylon was Ishtar. The fertility symbol was the egg. Another fertility symbol, of course, are rabbits because they multiply so quickly, and those idioms get commingled in what we call the Easter. You ever wonder why an Easter bunny lays eggs? Babylon. It's a strange convolution of those ancient thoughts, ideas, conceptions. The idea of the Christmas tree. Babylon. Nothing to do with Christianity. The Babylonians worshipped the sun god. Nimrod had a wife called Semiramis, and they promoted the myth that their son, Tammuz, was supernaturally born. Tammuz was associated with the sun god. By the way, first letter of his name was a T, which in Babylon and Chaldean looks like a cross, incidentally. But the point is that he was associated with the sun god, and the sun god was worshipped about the time of the winter solstice. As the days got shorter and shorter, he was thought to have died, and as the days started to get longer, he was thought to have been reborn. And they celebrated the death and rebirth of the sun god by taking a log, burning it in the fireplace. The Chaldean name for infant is Yule. And the... I sure hope not, yeah. And what they did is they burned a log in the fireplace that night, and the next morning they replaced it with a trimmed tree. And that celebrated the death and rebirth of Tammuz. And that legend was the root to a celebration in the Babylonian system. When the Babylonians get conquered by the Persians, that system moves to Pergamus. That's why Jesus Christ, in his letter to the church of Pergamus, could speak of Pergamus as where Satan's seat is. When the Romans conquer, the Greeks conquer, and the Romans conquer the Greeks, this whole system and the priesthood associated with it moves to Rome. And most of what we know about pagan Rome has its origin in Babylon. You substitute the Chaldean names with Latin names, and you've got Ishtar becoming Aphrodite or Astarte, and you got all these name changes, but the same thoughts, same concepts, and they celebrated the Tammuz ritual in Saturnalia. A couple of centuries later, Constantine makes Christianity the official religion, a very shrewd political maneuver for lots of reasons. The population, anxious to comply with the emperor, anxious to play Christian. But obviously they're used to celebrating certain things, so they rename it, adapt their cultural traditions to the new regime. And so Saturnalia becomes, of course, what we know as Christmas. Not quite on the winter solstice. They missed it by a couple of days. Not December 22nd. It's actually December 25th, but close. And on it goes. We know Christ was not born in December. Couldn't be. He had to be born when Judea was passable. Jesus says, pray that your flight be not in winter. Judea is not passable in the winter. It snows there, believe it or not. Then you got pictures. By the way, I've seen pictures of Jerusalem under snowfall. It's kind of interesting, but not very often, but it does happen. Point is, though, that the shepherds were in open field, and they don't do that after October. So Jesus Christ was born probably on Rosh Hashanah. That's a whole other thing. Anyway, getting back to Babylon. Babylon is the mother of all false religion. These ancient weird ideas are now packaged with new popularity under the label New Age. They call it channelers. Babylon called it mediums, mystics, spiritists, and onward. Verse 3 in Revelation 17. So he carried me away in the spirit in the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast. The woman is not the beast. She sits on the beast. Don't confuse the woman with the beast. Full of names and blasphemy, and having 7 heads and 10 horns. The woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and bedecked with gold and precious stones and pearls, and having a golden cup in her hand. There's that golden cup from Jeremiah, by the way. Full of abominations and filthiness and fornication. And here's her identity. Verse 5. And upon her head was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. And I saw the woman drunk with the blood of the saints. Hey, Babylon wasn't drunk with the blood of the saints. So what's going on here? This is something broader, something bigger than literal past Babylon. See, a woman drunk with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. Oh, really? Sounds like we're mixing some metaphors here, doesn't it? And when I saw her, I wondered with great wonder. Okay? Why would John wonder? If John thought Mystery Babylon was simply Rome, he wouldn't be puzzled. He'd understand it completely. He's puzzled. Now, don't misunderstand me. As you study this carefully, you will find an amazing link between much of this and idol worship in many denominations, not just the Catholics that get picked on so badly by expositors, Book of Revelation. But indeed, much of the traditions of the Catholic Church have their roots in Babylon, not the Scripture. And it goes on to talk about this. But the point I'd like to get across is not to hammer the Catholics to get your horizons broader than just the papacy. It's not that simple, my friends. It will exhaust our time to try to analyze this whole passage, but if you do this properly, and I commend to you a study of the book of Revelation, particularly these 2 chapters, to really get into this, and if some of you are Catholic and troubled by this, let me give you some refuge. In the 7 letters of 7 churches, of course, Jesus Christ lays out a number of things, one of which is all of church history. And the 4th letter is the letter to the church at Thyatira, which clearly can be linked to the papacy. But if the Protestants are giving you a hard time, if the Thyatira is the papacy, then Sardis is the Reformation. And the Sardis is one of the 2 letters of the 7 that has no good said about it. So if you Catholics or Catholic background want to fend off some of your Protestant critics, give them a lesson in the Church of Sardis, and that will set their clock for a while. But the truth of the matter is, Babylon, Mystery Babylon, the harlot, is more than just the literal city of Babylon, the pride of the Chaldeans, excellency. Somehow there's something, what Mystery Babylon involves is the whole religious tradition of the earth mingled together. It may have overtones of the papacy, it overtones of the New Age, and so forth. We know from 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 4, that the son of perdition, the man of sin, will exalt himself above all that is called God. And that's not just the Pope, it's Islam, it's the New Age, it's all this God. He's going to exalt himself above all that's called God or his worship. You and I don't have the capacity to imagine that, but it's coming. And it may even have extraterrestrial overtones, who knows? Question then is, okay, Chuck, gee, I'm getting a little overwhelmed. We've got this chapter 7.